President Bongbong Marcos will undertake a 5-day state visit to India next week. According to the Presidential Communications Office, President Marcos's visit is scheduled from August 4 to 8 upon the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The President is set to attend official meetings and events in New Delhi, including a meet and greet with the Filipino community. The PCO says President Marcos and his delegation will travel to Bangalore on August 7 and 8. The PCO adds President Marcos is expected to meet with business sectors in both cities. The last Philippine president to make a state visit to India was former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo in October 2007. The Philippines and India are celebrating the 75th anniversary of the establishment of their diplomatic relations in 2025. A reconsideration of the Supreme Court's decision, which declared the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte unconstitutional, is being sought in a resolution being routed among senators. Senator Kiko Pangilinan says he and 3 other senators have so far signed the draft resolution. The 3 others are Minority Leader Tito Soto and Senators Bam Aquino and Risa Ontiveros. Based on the 2-page draft resolution, it is the Senate's position that a reconsideration by the Supreme Court of its ruling would reconcile the constitutional provisions on the Supreme Court's power of judicial review, the House of Representatives' power to initiate impeachment complaints, and the Senate's power to try and decide impeachment cases. It adds that the resolution would ensure that all powers are given proper effect, consistent with the entrenched principle of constitutional construction, which states that one constitutional provision should not negate the other. The draft cites the opinion of former Supreme Court Associate Justice Adolfo S. Azcuna that while the 97-page decision of the court in Duterte's case may be legally correct, it strikes him as supposedly grossly unfair. This because it rules the articles of impeachment adopted by the House of Representatives as violating the only one complaint within 1-year rule by crafting a new definition of what constitutes being initiate and applying it to a complaint adopted in reliance on its previous and then prevailing definition. The draft resolution notes the impeachment case of then Chief Justice Hilario Davida Jr., where the High Tribunal defined initiating an impeachment complaint as putting it in the order of business and referring it to a proper committee. The draft points out that this was not done to the 3 earlier complaints filed against Duterte. The 3 impeachment complaints were filed in the House of Representatives by various groups on December 2, 4, and 19, 2024, while the 4th complaint was lodged through a resolution signed by more than 1/3 of House members on February 5. The 4th complaint was the one transmitted to the Senate for trial. The resolution also states that Justice Azcuna is respectfully urging the Supreme Court to issue a supplemental resolution and apply the doctrine of operative facts, which dictates that the actions taken and things done in reliance on a former and then prevailing definition should be treated as valid. The Philippine National Police announces that no DNA profiles were extracted from the bone fragments recovered during the search for the missing Sabungeros in Taal Lake. The PNP Forensic Group previously said at least 91 bone fragments were recovered from the 5 sacks retrieved from the lake earlier this July. In a briefing on Thursday, July 31, PNP spokesperson Brigadier General Jean Fajardo says an undisclosed number of bone fragments were recovered from an unidentified number of sacks retrieved from the lake on Wednesday, July 30. Fajardo also says that DNA could no longer be extracted from the retrieved bones.
Ang challenge po doon dahil matagal na nga pong nakasubmerge ay medyo wala na po tayong na-extract po accordingly na DNA profile po doon sa matagal na pong nakasubmerge parang contaminated na po.
Meanwhile, Fajardo says the 3 bodies exhumed from a cemetery near the Taal Lake yielded 3 DNA profiles. However, Fajardo says the DNA didn't match with the 23 DNA references of those who came forward from the families of the missing Sabungeros. It was whistleblower Julie Dondon Patidongan who said that the Sabungeros were killed, tied to sandbags, and thrown into the Taal Lake. The Philippine National Police discloses that the 2 siblings of whistleblower Julie Dondon Patidongan were picked up by authorities abroad. In a briefing on Thursday, July 31, PNP spokesperson Brigadier General Jean Fajardo says former Criminal Investigation and Detection Group Director Brigadier General Romeo Macapas received a tip last June 23 that the 2 siblings were seeking refuge in a country in Southeast Asia. Fajardo declines to disclose which country they were found in. Fajardo noted the CIDG brought the siblings Jose and Elkin Patidongan back to the Philippines on July 22. Fajardo claims the 2 siblings could be the supposedly missing link in the case of the missing Sabungeros.
Gusto nating makuha itong dalawa na ito dahil naniniwala tayo ito yung mga missing link doon sa mga kaso ng missing Sabungero. Kinuha po sila at binalik po sila dito sa ating bansa.
According to Fajardo, police believe Jose Patidongan was the one of the two men caught on video hustling victim Michael Bautista away in handcuffs in Santa Cruz, Laguna on April 28, 2021. Meanwhile, Fajardo says Elkin Patidongan was believed to be the individual who withdrew money from the bank account of Melbert Santos, who was last seen alive also in Santa Cruz, Laguna on January 13, 2022. The Social Security system announces a 3-year pension increase starting September 2025. According to the Social Security system, pensions will be increased by approximately 33% for retirement and disability pensioners. Meanwhile, pensions of death or survivor pensioners will have an approximately 16% increase. The agency says the increases will be implemented annually in 3 tranches starting September 2025. Those who receive retirement and disability pensions will get a 10% increase in September, while survivor benefits will increase by 5%. Their pensions will again increase by the same amount in September 2026 and again in September 2027. The agency also says the increase in pension will benefit 3.8 million pensioners without imposing a contribution hike. The low-pressure area outside the Philippine area of responsibility has a high chance of developing into a tropical depression in the next 24 hours. According to Pagasa, the low-pressure area was spotted on Thursday morning, July 31. Pagasa says the low-pressure area was located 965 kilometers east-northeast of extreme northern Luzon at 2 p.m. on Thursday. The low-pressure area will be named Fabian once it enters the Philippine area of responsibility as a tropical cyclone. Pagasa advises the public to stay updated on weather developments.